The aluminum would have to accumulate over time until it reached a tipping point in our soil. Then produce and plant life would grow poorly or not at all. The aluminum also kills the microorganisms in our soil, and their loss could also affect yields. The video suggests that crop failure worldwide could result from aerosoling aluminum over years, as the geoengineers appear to be doing. Why aluminum? Well, the geoengineers say they could use it or other products in our upper atmosphere to reverse global warming and possibly insulate us from sudden bursts of radiation coming from our suns, from the sun. Actually, the aluminum is the cheapest product they can put up there to carry out this effect. And are they doing that? They don't say for sure, but they didn't even seem to deny it either. When asked in the video if megatons of aluminum released into our upper atmosphere could be harmful to life when it falls back to Earth, the geoengineers all of a sudden get dumb and say that hasn't even been looked into yet. Now this has to be a lie. They know it's toxic. They know that if Earth was dusted with large amounts of aluminum, people could have sterile short lives, possibly ending with Alzheimer's syndrome and lung problems. They should also know that food chains would be disrupted. Most of the aluminum will concentrate in rivers and lakes and eventually the oceans. Once again, the pH would become more acidic and microorganisms would die, leading to food chain reactions, and potentially dead oceans could result. A decade-long study of our oceans' health was released on national news in the summer of 2011. It said that the ocean's pH was dramatically shifting towards acidic, and at the rate this was occurring, the oceans would be void of life in just one generation, or about 20 years from now. The explanation of what was causing the problem, according to this report, was simply two words: global warming. I find that hard to believe. Warming the oceans should not cause a dramatic change from a neutral pH to an acidic pH. Pollution would have been a more believable answer. It can alter pH, especially if that pollution was aided with megatons of aerosoled micro-aluminum particles. Something real is killing the oceans, and it is going to be hard to reverse, I imagine. The geoengineers put on their Superman suits for the media, but they could just as easily fit into a Darth Vader outfit. They seem to be saving the Earth from the immediate threat of global warming at the cost of depleting life on Earth chemically via aerosoled aluminum or aluminum oxide added to barium and strontium. It is obvious to me that a project on this level would have to be run by global controllers. This is too big for the US government or CIA. Weather control during the Vietnam War was called Operation Popeye. Now this was a military operation used to use rain to try and hinder the advance of armies. Operation Cloverleaf is a more recent secret project of our government that uses aircraft chemtrails to alter weather and who knows what. Chemtrails could be many things, or maybe nothing at all. They could be just one thing. That is, innocent vapor and ice crystals that now clog our skies 2 or 3 times a week due to more planes that are now flying higher. This is what we're led to believe. The planes I see leaving the chemtrails, however, aren't flying that high. I would estimate them at between 10 to 15,000 feet. Many jets fly higher. Maybe the EPA can't do anything about this kind of air pollution. No one has defined this milky smog as air pollution. I have noticed that nobody seems to want to talk about this innocent air pollution. Why would that be? I have noticed that my media and their weather forecasters will not acknowledge chemtrails at all. When they tell us it is a clear sunny day and you walk outside and see twirly plumes or bright stripes across the sky from horizon to horizon in all directions. I kind of wonder if this is innocent geoengineering or part of a weather control program. What you wouldn't think some would expose this if this was so, and it would occasionally be discussed on some form of media. Why do we have to pretend that nothing is going on up there? I suggest citizens start keeping their own journals of what they are seeing in their own skies where they are, and at the possible, hopefully there's video that you could also record of heavy chemtrail activity. Please look for patterns and meaning to these intrusions in our skies. Collect rainwater in mason jars or submit soil for pH and aluminum testing at your local laboratories. Can all this come from planes instantly? After lengthy debate, I believe they can't be just all ice crystals. If this is, however, a conspiracy, that would mean that many people are involved in illegal activities. And I wondered what it would take to pull this chemtrailing project off. Here's what I figured out. The planes would need to have a small auxiliary fuel supply of about 300 to 500 gallons. This tank would have to be used during takeoffs and landings. If they didn't have this, then they would leave chemtrails during takeoffs and landings, and they would be seen as different from the ice crystals up above. Now, I don't believe our Air Force has enough planes or drones to achieve worldwide incidental chemtrails. The global group that would have to be behind this project would have to use all commercial airlines and maybe some military flights willingly or unwillingly. They would have to nationalize the commercial flights and airlines and finance their debts to control them. The air controllers would have to choose routes for passenger jets, and often the routes could be out of the way due to so many planes in the sky. These routes would need space, so a grid pattern could be completed with possibly military planes filling in where commercial flights weren't available. They would have control of two fuels, and they would choose which flight got which fuel in what region. Fuel 1 would be normal, basically kerosene, and would act in planes like it used to in the 1970s and 1980s. No chemtrails, just contrails, lasting for about 10 seconds, or as little as not at all. This clean fuel would always go into the smaller reserve tank, and often it could also go into the main tanks, if I'm correct. The second fuel of choice for the elite group would be a fuel that had additives in it. It'd be additives like aluminum, barium, and strontium. Fuel with additives is probably all the ground crews and the airport would be aware of. The pilots, however, would probably have to sign a waiver for secrecy to prevent their talking about the chemtrails that this fuel produced. This is what happened for Project Cloverleaf. This waiver would threaten them with imprisonment if they discuss national defense issues, including chemtrails, or why their flight paths don't always make direct routes. I am sure the Patriot Act covers this free speech. The media and weather forecasters would also have to be convinced that for national security reasons, they cannot discuss or acknowledge chemtrails or face serious consequences if they do. If all this network that I've just laid out were in place, then some entity in global control could chemspray around the world. I should point out that the Council on Foreign Relations oversees the media and government, and membership to this organization is a must if you have a career in these two fields. This control group, however, could not spray everywhere all the time. That would give it away. But if this pollution showed up here and there regionally, say once or twice a week, then it could appear innocent and be blamed on weather front changes. The reason chemtrails seem to precede rain is because A, weather conditions before rain often create chemtrails in the sky, or B, the elite are causing it to rain or promoting rain using chemtrails. Both seem fairly innocent. They would seem to be doing less harm than good in both situations. Weather manipulation used properly sounds maybe profitable. This process of spraying before a rain event would be a great cover if more malicious activities were involved. It also would be a great way to get airborne chemicals to the ground where you might want them. Most people's curiosity will probably stop here. They probably think we can't stop this. But would you try to stop it if you found out that the elite were willfully poisoning you and the majority of the world's food and water supply? According to this video, what in the world are they spraying, which I advise you see, the mega seed company Monsanto, who many speculate is a key player in the New World Order, is reportedly engineering DNA strands of their seeds to be aluminum resistant in the near future. This while they shift their markets from corn and soybeans for the markets of all other garden produce. Growers in the future may have few choices but to do business with Monsanto. Who will get the seed and who won't? Can the elite survive their own poison if they are up to no good? This concludes Part 1, Chemtrails, Fact or Fiction. Part 2 will concern the book The Lost Journals of Nikola Tesla, HAARP, Chemtrails, and Alternative 4 by Tim Schwartz. The CIA does not want you to read that book.